Here we go.
Carnby, are you okay?
Don't leave me alone.
What the hell have you been doing?
What's going on here? Look at this mess!
I'm sorry, Mrs. Thompson.
Don't make me kick you out of this house. Now get out!
Hey, Detective. Mr. Carnby. I'm really worried about you.
I'm okay. I just need to catch my breath for a moment.
This place? There are some very disturbed figures around here. And I don't think it's just the patients. I've been reading some things about how Derceto has a deranging effect on people. I think it might explain things.
What?
Just Take it easy, okay? I'm gonna go find a way into Dr. Gray's apartment. I want to know what he's hiding.
Emily, don't worry. I think I'm close. I'm gonna set everything right.
Just be careful.
Carnby had run their car off the bridge. He pulled Grace out of the sinking car, but left her father to drown. He could have saved him. There was time. He just chose not to. Instead, he took Grace back to New Orleans and collected his paycheck. It wasn't clear to Detective Carnby that he had actually accomplished anything, but he had the distinct feeling that he was making progress. The steamboat must have been what the self-deceit was referring to, and clearly the business with Grace was psychological trauma. Out of the 3 steps on the dog man's contract, only one thing seemed to remain: temperamentic behavior. Carnby was getting sick of guessing. It was time to pay Dr. Gray a visit in his apartment.
I can't leave. I got a job to do.
Detective, am I glad to see you. Lock the door, will you? I don't think Dr. Gray would appreciate us snooping around.
What's going on here? This feels so strange.
Detective Carnby felt removed from himself. Like driving drunk, he carefully tried to navigate his environment. What the hell was going on? Was he finally losing his mind? At least Emily was here to call the police if he went off the deep end.
Have you found anything?
What? Yeah, I've seen some things.
Okay. Let me know if there is anything you want to talk about.
There's a book missing.
What did you do?
I was just rearranging the books.
Well, come on, let's check it out. I think I'm beginning to understand. Dr. Gray is dealing with some kind of mass delusion.
Huh. Has that been there this whole time? That mark on the floor looks like talisman positions, but from which direction should I look at it?
The Snake Dagger, a monograph by Yael Klein. In Ludwig Prin's book on pagan rituals called The Mystery of the Grave, as translated by Nicholas Vachy, there are several references to a sacrificial dagger called the Snake Dagger. It has long been thought of as a poor translation of the original text, that it would be more appropriate with worm dagger from the Latin vermis cultrum. This seems natural following the recent consensus that the original title of Prin's book, De Vermis Mysteris, should literally translate to the mystery of the worm. However, this would take away from Vachy's great effort at translating the underlying meaning of the words and revealing several cultural beliefs. While Prin certainly was using the term worm as a symbol or synecdoche for death and the dead, which is made clear by the contents of the book, in the case of the dagger, we shouldn't be too hasty to dismiss his translation. Reading through Vachy's correspondence with his patron, it appears that he had more than just the Latin text at his disposal. Vachy had dug up Prin's living relatives and uncovered several cross-referenced historical texts and an actual snake dagger. The dagger was dated to the early Middle Kingdom of Egypt and had such a clear shape of a wave that Vachy considered calling it the sinusoidal blade. Knowing the full story, it seems prudent that he chose to translate it as snake and not worm. There are several reasons why this choice of word helps us understand the pagans that Prin's book attempts to describe. The symbolic value of the shape becomes more apparent when reading about the use for the dagger. In the passage of possession and exorcism, we find the snake dagger poisons the poisoner within the victim and is therefore pacified. Where the literal text would tell us that the worm dagger trumps the demon possessing the victim, it tells us nothing of their reasoning, only that somehow this dagger wins against the demon, like it had the better hand in poker. Vahi's translation allows us to follow the underlying logic to the ritual magic that is being performed. Poison the poisoner. Sounds like fighting fire with fire. That to hurt the demon possessing its victim, the priests would have to fight back with a power that is known to the evil they are fighting. The snake dagger is therefore not only a good way to describe its form, but it also helps us understand how it could be thought of as a useful tool for exorcism. Finally, it also helps us understand their relationship to lunacy, that it was thought of as something poisoning the mind rather than controlling it. What is also interesting to note is that the possessed are always considered poisoned in their head and not their heart. The snake dagger always went to the eye of the possessed, leaving them partially blind, if they had the good luck to survive.
Good to finally meet you, Mr. Hartwood. I'm here on the behalf of your brother Philip. You were expecting me, weren't you?
Yes, you're from Derceto, no?
That's right. I just wanted to ask you a few questions to see if there is anything I can do to help you and your family.
Okay.
I understand you're full of imagination. You make up a lot of things.
I suppose.
And you obsess over them, blurring reality and fiction.
Sometimes.
Do you want to tell me about the Dark Man?
No, I don't.
That's all right. Perhaps there is something else you can tell me. Something you know to be made up, but you hold dear.
Juan?
John? Who's John?
No, Juan Luis Jorge. Oh, wait there a moment. Here, take a look.
Is he... Oh, he is the author.
It's a magnificent book. Life-changing even. The real Juan is long dead, but I like to think of him as my friend. My most beloved friend.
I see. Do you often do this? Fantasize about people you read about?
No. Well, there is Jacob.
Who is Jacob?
Turn to the last page.
Oh, it's a newspaper article. The Prisoner of Ice, Jacob van Ostad. Is he also your beloved friend?
Oh, no, Doctor. Not at all. He is the fire that fights fire.
Yes, I think it's clear your overstimulated imagination, this mania, needs to be tempered for you to live a normal life. I know your family calls it the Hartwood curse, but I want you to know that there is nothing supernatural about your condition. It's all inside your head. And with that, I'm very qualified to deal with. In time, you will be cured.
In time.
Yes, in time we will exorcise all your demons, all the dark men.
Yeah!
Please, Mr. Hartwood, calm yourself.
What happened?
Oh, don't you worry your little head about it, Miss Hartwood. Your uncle and I just had our first breakthrough.
What were you saying about mass delusion?
Derceto seems to have a deranging effect on people living close by. It has a history of creating cults devoted to some nature goddess. Even the name Derceto refers to the cult existing here before the Civil War. Derceto was the name of an ancient fertility goddess worshipped in Syria. Dr. Gray and his friends, however, seem to prefer the Black Goat of the Woods with 1,000 Young, or Shub-Nigroth. And that name can only have come from my uncle's twisted mind.
Detective Carnby.
Who is this? Jeremy?
Jeremy is with the Dark Man. You can't save him.
Well, I've done everything he wanted so far, and there's just one more thing on the list. I expect him to keep his promise and return Jeremy unharmed.
Get out, Detective, while you still can.
Okay.
Detective Carnby wanted nothing more than to make sense of it all. But clearly, that was not in the cards right now.
You think all of them are in this cult business? Even Jeremy?
I'm not sure any of them have a choice at this point. We just need to find a way to stop all of this.
I've been so busy trying to free your uncle from the promise he made to the Dark Man. I guess I kind of just let everything else go.
Don't worry, Detective. I feel like we're close. I'm sure Jeremy will turn up. If he is part of the cult, he wouldn't want to miss the Feast of St. John. I just need enough information to make him see the truth.
I hope you're right, but I doubt he'll show up. Not as long as the Dark Man's got him hiding.
You okay? You look a little frazzled.
Just stupid telephone.
I know, I tried calling the police earlier. The telephone is completely dead.
It's not... Yeah, no, the telephone isn't working.
Detective Carnby was worried Emily could tell, that she could see the madness written on his face. But what if he was the only one seeing the truth? Could that still be the case? If only he could find evidence that would make her understand that he had seen beyond the veil, or at least something that would show her he was worth the money she was paying him.
Miss Hartwood, I think you're gonna want to see this.
Is there something in the closet?
Yeah, there is. You don't see the very obvious gate leading to whatever Jeremy's madness is serving up next?
I don't understand. Are you making some kind of fashion metaphor? I'm sorry, I don't have time for this. Can you just tell me what you're doing?
You don't see this! It's fine. It's fine. Catch you later.
Are you going inside the closet?
Yeah. You got a problem with that?
No. Do what you think is right, Detective.
Sorry, I didn't mean to. Goodbye, Miss Hartwood.
Disheartened by his failure to make Emily understand what he was doing, Detective Carnby actually felt better seeing the frozen hell before him. There was a finality to it. Its clear symbolic opposite to the dark man's desert made him realize this was the end. Soon it would all be over.
Asleep, with an anesthetized mind, Jeremy filtered these words from Darcetos, gangrenous ground. Ever their praises, and abundance to the black goat of the woods. Hear us, Mother, and take pity on us. Accept our sacrifice, and judge our worth. Ia, Shubnigrath. Ia, Shubnigrath, the black goat of the woods with 1,000 young. As the world moved into the new decade, America was spiraling into a maelstrom of debt, drought, and death. It was called the Great Depression and ruined many families. It was a fitting name, for poverty also breeds madness through desperation. Yermi was of course no such victim, for he already witnessed the darkness within. He knew the shadow that stood on his threshold very well. It wasn't new. It was something that had always been with him. Edward had heard the whispers for years. When he lived in Brooklyn, it was only on rare occasions, like when he as a child climbed that tall tree in Central Park, or when he almost drowned in the Hudson River, trying to save his despaired mother. The whispers became more common as he moved to New Orleans, but still rare enough to be ignored. Now as he walks the halls of Darceto, he knows what is calling him. He doesn't want to admit it, but the dark young in the conservatory is telling him to sacrifice the cabris and corn. The lone and the lost walk a land of fear. When there is nothing you recognize or no one to trust, you prepare for the worst. Something is coming, and you best be ready. Take the gun in the parlor. Give them hell. New Orleans lies southwest of Derceto, along the great Mississippi River. Its old town, the French Quarter, or the Vieux Carré, is home of the proud and often rich Creoles. Wrapped around this center, you will find a large and eclectic city full of people, including the most mundane dock workers, reckless gangsters, jazz-crazed flappers, and of course, the mysterious voodoo people. At night, you can stand on the lakeside of Derceto and watch New Orleans glow like embers on the horizon. Derceto stands on a breeding ground for the grotesque, a temple devoted to rebellious growth, the most ugly and cancerous side of nature. You may be able to shield your psyche for a while, but rest assured your soul will come to pray to that hideous god in time. That is the story of every man and woman who gather around that ancient arbor. They all croak, bark, and bleat because their own bodies are afraid and they wish to repel the evil those words conjure. Iya! Iya! Instead of that blasphemous name, they gossip in hushed whispers the name of Derceto, Astarte, and the black goat of the woods. The artist spent a lot of time boating on the vast lake Pontchartrain. Poetry, painting, photography, everything seemed to become better by the shimmering water and the opalescent sky. One night, as the sailors returned to Derceto, they found a masquerade ball taking place. It must have been Perosi and Nora who invited their friends from the theater. The sailors quickly fashioned masks out of plaster of Paris and joined the festivities. They enjoyed themselves for hours before realizing time was not passing, nor could they find their friends. As they began to worry, they demanded that the guests unmasked, but they could not, because they were not wearing any masks. What a terrible thing to recognize that your betterment was an illusion, that you are so infatuated by the virtue of struggling that despite all your hard work, you made no real efforts to ever become well. Or that the treatment becomes such an obsession that instead of letting your wounds heal over time, you tear at the flesh in the hope that it will heal better and faster, if only it would bleed in the way you wanted. Do we ever become well? What do you think, Dr. Gray? What can be said about Jacob van Ostad without evoking contempt or apologia? The first piece of information is the obvious. He is not the explorer Jeremy idolized in his youth, but the figment of his imagination. If you want biographical facts, I am not the one to answer such questions. In the case of Jeremy, he is a guardian of imagination, or rather a persona appointed the role of containing a self-sabotaging mania. However useful Jacob once was, his loyalty to Jeremy has slowly been replaced by fanaticism. Like a firekeeper who has for decades been burnt by his own sacred flames, now does what he imagines the fire wants. Jeremy has lost all control over Jacob and suffers greatly because of him, but is admittedly also still invigorated by his labor. In the plainest of words, Jacob keeps Jeremy sick so he can remain Jeremy.
We found the ancient stellarium perched on a cliff facing the Arctic Ocean after a day of sailing due north of the Eskimo encampment. Jacob van Ostad was our most keen member of the expedition. He had been chasing down the source of a peculiar type of crystallized metal present in several sacred items among the natives on the northeast coast of Greenland. The site was a remarkable find for any explorer, and we were all enraptured in our search for enlightenment and meaning. The surviving architecture seemed almost unearthly in origin and astonishingly sophisticated. The metal Jacob was searching for was abundant, almost ubiquitous. We were so taken by our find that we were surprised by the sun falling below the horizon. As we quickly picked up our gear, ready to head back to our camp, Jacob van Ostad declared that he wanted to stay. He was adamant. We begged him to reconsider. The night would be getting colder by the hour, and we feared for all our safety. Jacob refused, threatening us with violence if we wouldn't leave him alone. As the snowfall turned heavier, we left him there on his own. The next day, the weather became worse, and we had to spend hours enforcing our shelter as our tents became increasingly useless. The group had written off Jacob, thinking he must be dead. I had an urge to make one final attempt to save him, so I headed out as darkness fell with a handful of flares and headed toward the coast and up the climb, towards the stellarium. That's when I saw him, transfixed by a burning sky, that celestial lantern. Jacob keeled over and let out a painful shriek that struck me with such fear and pity. He was crying in agony, for the cold weather had ravaged his flesh. I called out to him, and he turned to face me. His vacant stare held me in place like a needle through a butterfly, and he said, "You must leave now, Ashton. Go, and never come back." And so I left.
Hey, you! What are you doing here? What is this place?
Turn back, detective. You're not wanted here.
Whoa, take it easy. I'm not your enemy.
Oh, you're wrong, detective. You're wrong.
Hey, you! What are you doing here? What is this place?
Turn back, detective. You're not wanted here.
Whoa, take it easy. I'm not your enemy.
Oh, you're wrong, detective. You're wrong.
Of course, the Taurus. I figured you wouldn't want your stars aligned, Jeremy, or maybe that is what you need to temper that mania of yours.
sake, stay dead, will you? For God's sake, stay dead, will you? For God's sake, stay dead, will you?
Jeremy?
We did everything! Aren't you happy? Stupid charlatan! What more do you want from me? You want me to lose my mind?
Oh, my lord! Doctor! Baptiste! Quick!
Jesus. What were you thinking, Carnby?
You awake? You are awake. Mr. Carnby's up.
Hey, buddy! I thought you'd be knocked out for the rest of the night. Come on out and join us, will you? I'll save you some gumbo.
Good to have you back. You gave us all a good scare.
What happened?
You had a psychological breakdown. Sorry for manhandling you, but you're being violent.
You stabbed Jeremy and then punched Dr. Gray.
Are they okay?
Jeremy's a little strange, but everything's back to normal.
Really?
All thanks to you, Carnby. You want to try standing up?
Well, if it isn't the hero of the day. How are you feeling, Detective?
Never better. How about you two? Hey, Jeremy, I didn't do too much damage, did I?
Things are fine. Very quiet.
What's up with him? Painkillers?
No. You see, despite you having the finesse of a one-eyed butcher, you managed to lobotomize dear Jeremy.
I did what?
It's actually quite impressive. It's not like I hadn't considered it myself. I just wish Jeremy could have been helped without reducing his personality to that of an oyster.
But he's gonna live.
Of course. As long as someone keeps feeding him, he'll outlive the best of us.
Everything was back to normal. Did any of it really happen? What had Carnby actually been doing all night?
Does Emily know about Jeremy's condition?
Yes. She seems to be handling it quite well under the circumstances.
Hey, Ruth. Glad to see you made it back to Derceto.
You too, Detective. Make sure to stay for the festivities. It's no Mardi Gras, but it ain't bad.
Good to see you back on your feet, Detective. Have some gumbo.
Thanks. I'll save it for later. That is one impressive tree.
More impressive than you could ever imagine.
Hey, kid. What are you up to?
Preparing for the ceremony. I don't want to disappoint Mother.
What is it? What do you want? Don't worry. I'll remember. You should have the... tell me what the hell's about to happen here.
Every year we have a little turn the page ceremony by the tree. It's symbolical. It's like life has its cycles of grief and happiness. You know? Just like a tree facing the seasons. Things change, but remain the same.
What are you looking for?
Just keeping an eye out for the storm. Radio says it could be a wild one.
Everyone knows what to do? Y'all know the new words.
Mrs. Thompson, we talked about this. I'm not sure everyone is comfortable.
Doctor, I insist. This is important. We've waited for so long, Doctor.
Let's just go with the old song. Not every change is an improvement.
Boss, good or bad, we need to move forward.
All in, Doc. Let's bet it all.
But we don't know what we're dealing with.
It'll be okay, Doctor. Better even.
Ever there praises and abundance to the black goat of the woods. Hear us, mother. Take pity on us. Take pity on us.
Ever
Hear
there
us,
praises
mother.
and
Take
abundance to the black goat of
Take
the
pity
woods.
on us. Hear us, mother, and take pity on us. Take pity on us.
Ever the praises and abundance to the
Hear us,
black
mother, and take pity on us. Accept our sacrifice.
Stop! Are you crazy?
This here's the use the habit called
Grace! Stop! Stop!
Shoot the ground! Shoot the
Detective, get my uncle out of here.
Jeremy, come with me! Get over here! Jeremy, come with... Jeremy, come here!
No! There has to be another one! We're
Jeremy!
I can't let that monster leave Derceto. I have to stop it.
Detective Carnby returned just as the festivities were about to begin. Emily was grateful that she didn't have to sit through whatever ceremony the people at Derceto had fashioned. Instead, they excused themselves and made their way to the front side of the house. With a tremendous sense of relief, Emily climbed into the car. She watched Carnby ready the back seat for Jeremy in the rearview mirror. What a long night, she thought. Thank God it's all over.
Detective!
What the hell was that?
I tried to tell you. There was so much evidence. Their devotion to the Black Goat was like nothing I've ever seen before. I felt so dumb believing any of it, but I'm glad I did.
Are you okay?
Everything is out of order. This isn't the way the story goes. I shouldn't be alive.
Yeah. Oh, you're welcome, buddy.
How are you doing, sweetie?
I kinda like it. You ruined everything, but I'm not mad.
All right, you ready to head back to New Orleans?
Come on, Jeremy. We're leaving.
Can I come?
I thought you said you didn't need saving.
Don't leave her. She's important.
Of course we're taking her with us.
Yay, I'm important.